Hello and welcome back. Today I am starting a Wizard101 Ironman challenge. I admittedly been putting this off for a while now. But basically the premise of the challenge is to force me to play through the game solo, making it challenging without an unfair advantage, and basically minimizing the amount of farming and grinding I would need to do. Welcome, Argot. Welcome, Raymond. Welcome, Big Man. Thank you for the 5 stream streak. Now, I did skip the tutorial, so I'm just jumping straight into the game. And welcome, Zoo. Honestly, there is a lot of dialogue in this game, so I think I'm just going to be skipping through it. It's also going to be a very long and really slow-paced game, so I don't think it's going to be worth it to actually read the dialogue. Now, I did choose a balance wizard here because, well, for one thing, it is my favorite school. And also because I think it's fairly underrated. And actually has more solo potential than people give it credit for. The battles this early in the game are honestly very easy, so I can just kind of breeze through them. These guys are basically guaranteed to go down in one hit. Alchemister. Also, I wasn't really sure exactly how to position my model on screen, so sorry if it ends up not being a very good position. This game has also had a lot of updates that I haven't really been keeping up with. So it's very possible that I'll run into things I'm not expecting. I'm a wizardly. Exactly. Thanks, Easter, for the gifted. Was that from yesterday? That's probably from yesterday. Now, those who aren't familiar with this game... Oh, I should probably go get my mount, because I am allowed to get a mount just to speed things up from my shared bank. Because that is just movement speed and nothing else. Also, I probably should have marked, because now I'm just gonna have to run all the way back. Honestly, what I normally do is whip my wizard out and then jump back in so that I can go back to where I was before I... Why are they pointing me that direction? before I went to my dorm room. Also, I should actually equip this so that I can move quickly. There we are. This quality of life, yeah, it's not exactly giving me an unfair advantage or anything like that. It's just move speed. Have you done the pirate one? I have not. To be honest, I don't know much about Pirate 101. All I really know is that it supposedly takes place in the same universe and is made by the same company. This hand kind of bites. Early on, or at least at the very beginning, schools don't really have their own identities. That will change before too long. At any rate, this is intended to be an MMO. Playing solo is very much not intended. Combat is turn-based, as you can probably see, and is also a card game. They have my deck of spell cards. Draw 7. I can play 1 or pass each turn. Everyone then moves in turn order. Spells cost a certain number of mana and pips. The idea is to knock out the other guy before they knock you out, basically. And it just gets some equipment. It does not match my outfit at all, but that's something I'm just gonna have to deal with. There is also just quite a bit of running around in this game. Yeah, the skill tree in this game isn't exactly a skill tree. You basically get access to spells, new spell cards, depending on what your school is, and using training points. But because I'm playing a balanced wizard, I will get balance spells as I progress through the game, and I can use training points to get spells from other schools. There's also a free heal spell that everyone gets very soon after this point. I think the school that people would expect me to choose for a challenge like this is death. But I think, well, death is very powerful as a solo school. It's also potentially inconsistent. Welcome, Ocean. Good evening. This may or may not be a one-shot, we'll see. So, right now, the spells I have access to are the starting balance spell Scarum, as well as some spell cards that I'm getting from the starting wand I have equipped, which are basically just weaker versions of the other, well, I should say every school's starting spell. Plus, I get the kind of weak healing spell from the wand, which is nice to have at the start. The downside is it's not fully accurate. It's generally very difficult to get perfect accuracy in this game, especially with the limited access to gear that I have by playing solo. Well, I think really the good accuracy gear is stuff that is either inaccessible in Arc 1 or is very much designed to be obtained in group dungeons that I'm probably going to need to do after Arc 1 anyway. Here's my heal spell. So yeah, through Arc 1, I'm going to be stuck with some fairly lacking accuracy. That being said, balance is one of the higher accuracy schools, so it's not going to be nearly as bad as, say, storm or fire. I kind of lost my train of thought. Right, the inconsistency that comes from having relatively low accuracy in this game is a big part of why I was so hesitant to start this. And also part of the reason that I ended up allowing myself the ability to flee, which initially I had banned in my rules, but that also would have caused issues with potentially running into other players not letting me solo fights, which would have basically allowed other people to ruin my challenge, which I also would not want. I probably should have been cooling my apartment down the first stream because I am burning up. I feel like you say that a lot, but it is summer. I got AC. All I have is a standing fan and a window. We don't really have AC here because people think it's silly. I remember burning up in my parents' car as a kid as a regular occurrence over the summer, and saying that it's way too hot, and my dad would say, I'm not going to turn on the air conditioning because it's silly to use air conditioning in Alaska, despite the fact that it was in fact hot. Especially for someone like me. And of course, cars are basically just ovens in summer. They're just metal containers that absorb heat from the sun in an enclosed space. You're currently in Alaska, and make sure you have your AC going at all times during the summer. Problem with Alaska is that ambient temperature may not be high. I mean, I think the issue is it depends on the person, and a lot of people in Alaska aren't originally from Alaska, so they're used to much warmer places. So to them, the temperature isn't going to be bad, but for someone actually born and raised in Alaska like me, that's going to be a different story. Welcome, Mansoor. Why is there an exception for the mount in the rolls? Just to save time. It's not a combat mount, so it doesn't actually give me any kind of advantage in combat. It's just to avoid wasting time for no reason. Everything has the sun at it all throughout the day. Buildings, streets, vehicles, and etc. heat up so much. Yeah. That's very much an issue. Especially considering in summer, there is a lot more sunlight in general compared to other places. You can't go off of ambient temperature for how hot you'll actually feel here. Right. Honestly, that's not really a point I'd given much consideration. A little more sunlight is putting it super mildly. Yeah. The difference between summer and winter sunlight here is extreme, but I'm not really used to how it is in other places. really experienced how different the hours of sunlight are in winter compared to summer in, say, Texas. Guess we'll just go with that. The other thing about mounts is you can't really find an easily obtainable free mount until you actually have enough money to buy one from the town shop. And that's going to be much later on. So not having one until then is really just a waste of time for no reason. Honestly, it probably should go to the library for the lore book quest before going to Black Hope's Tower. Just so I can get that while I'm there. That just respawned right in front of me. Oh, welcome, Alter. I think I'm doing alright. But still trying to handle summer. How about yourself? I also probably should have specified in the challenge rules that I'm not going to be doing any event content. I can basically just ignore that frog guy. I don't even know what that event is. I just hit level 5. Yes, I did. I probably should still go with the damage boost over the health, even if it's flat. And the Wizard101 server is just very slow today. Seems like I've been struggling to load anything. I don't think it's a problem with my internet. My OBS is connected just fine. This is a balance school teacher. It's where I will be getting a lot of my balance school spells. I don't really like elemental shield, but I don't really have a better alternative right now. How many training points do I have? 1. Angry, just a little tired. I'm glad you're doing well, but I hope you can get some rest. And had a little hiccup, but it's been good for the majority of when you've been here. Good to hear that much. But welcome, Insider Man. This game really does start off slow. And just the extended tutorial is basically the entirety of main story Wizard City. Alchemist Trophy, thank you for the bless. Also, I should be drinking water. Definitely should be remembering to do that. Both for my throat and for trying to keep cool. Each world does have a side quest for a training point where I need to go around finding little guys, for lack of a better way to put it. In this world, I have to find the smiths. They are also... I think they're all inspired by bands as well. How is the bat today? Overheating. How are you? Hatchmaking. Also get a side quest from... Hang on, where is the smith? Over here. Side quest from Unicorn Way. When playing games like this, I do generally try to do quests and stuff when I'm at an appropriate level, so that I can actually enjoy them instead of waiting until I'm over-leveled and I can just breeze through them at that point, because that is just boring. Anyway, I should go back to Unicorn Way. I still have a couple things to do here. I should be able to skip this tutorial. I don't think you used to be able to. But it is nice having that option now. Had a long week at worst, but now you can finally rest. Yeah, work can be draining sometimes, but I'm glad you can actually get some rest now at least. I'm gonna have to be back to work tomorrow. Not really looking forward to that, but it is what it is. Go ahead and get this for the quest. Having a mismatching outfit is bugging me way more than it probably should. And the thing about Elemental Shield is it just gives so many shields, and this early in the game, enemies tend to just use spells from random schools. Meaning it's easier to... Well, it's more likely that I'm going to get value from all the shields, rather than something like Tower Shield, which will be useful against any spell, but can only be used once. Probably don't want to use my heal quite yet. I say that, but they aren't actually using any elemental spells, so my elemental shield is not doing anything. Yeah, I'm gonna try to heal. Now that I actually have 2 pip spells now, there's a bit more decision making I need to do with my pip management and whatnot. And of course, 0 cost spells that have their own effects. A minimum roll on this isn't going to kill, but had some use that time. The enemies here also just do reduced damage. I used to help you out since at this stage you are very weak. It makes sense that enemies would be very weak as well. There's one more thing I need to do here, though. Because there's a smith at the end of the street. May as well get that while I'm here. What I probably should have done was set a mark there so I don't have to go all the way back. I can just teleport, but honestly, I haven't been paying that much attention to what I'm doing so far. At least in terms of overworld navigation. Honestly, I don't anticipate using flax at all. But if nothing else, I can just sell it. And when it comes to gold, every little bit can help, especially when I'm not really allowed to use the bazaar. Considering that's the best place to sell things normally. Outside of that, it's actually a good idea to feed stuff you don't want to your pet. But from what I've heard, they actually removed the tutorial pet quest for some reason. So I think I might need to buy my first pet. Thank you, Miss Truly, for the health check. Health has been checked. I guess theoretically it's not actually that bad. Or doesn't really give me an unfair advantage to sell things to the bazaar. Since it's basically just an anti-grinding measure. Since I could just grind gold by picking up wooden chests and regions, but welcome balls. I am indeed a wizard now. I think around here is where I would normally get the pet quest. But it doesn't... Well, as I said, I don't think it's in the game anymore at this point. I don't see any NPCs here to give it to me. Probably should have placed a mark there, but oh well. Keep forgetting to do that. There really is just so much running around. There's lots of NPCs I need to talk to. I'll say that from my training points, I'm probably gonna start off training death spells up to Fiend. And I'm going to want ice spells up to Tower Shield. After that, I guess I could train life spells or just save for astral spells. I didn't go to the Golem Court's mess. Probably should do that while I'm in the area. How do I train for different spells? Well, I get training points from leveling up and from certain side quests. Like the one that is making me go around finding the smiths. And there are NPCs who will teach you the spells in exchange for training points. But a lot of spells do have prerequisites. I can't just train Tower Shield on its own. I would need to learn all the ice spells leading up to it. Or rather, all the basic ice spells, I should say. Alright, what do I have now? Oh, I still need to go talk to Diego. Also, there's another quest I have to get back to Oldale Town for. So, it's kind of skill tree based, but not entirely, I guess is the way to put it. And of course, some spells I just don't have access to because I'm not the right school. You can do all of the different category of spells, but you have to do the quest lines for them. Not... The spells locked behind quests are generally the school-specific ones. So I can get balance-specific spells from quests, but I can't get, say, ice-specific spells from quests. I also forget where the smith is here. They say that right before finding the smith. But yeah, spells will also generally be locked behind certain levels. So it's not just the training points, but also having the proper level. Or for balanced spell quests, I need to be the right level for the quest, as well as have the right areas unlocked for it. Alright. I think... Yeah, I'm just gonna go back to... Unicorn Way for this quest. The way I generally do these next few streets, since there's not really a specific order to them, is I'll do Train Avenue, then Firecat Alley, then Cyclops Lane. Just because of the quest rewards. the train avenue is the only one of the three that I'd normally have access to without actually buying the areas. Very little of this game is actually free, despite it being marketed as a free-to-play game. So they have been doing periods of time where more of the game is free, or you get free membership, which just opens up the entire game for you. That tends to be how most free-to-play MMOs are. Yeah, I think I was also frustrated with Toontown as a kid, not having access to much of the game. There we are. People have been trying to get me to play Final Fantasy XIV, but and they always say it's free, but I'm not actually sure how much of the game is free. I don't really want to have to get into another game only to need to pay more just to be able to play more of it. I never did go fight that lost soul, did I? I'm gonna go do that. I always saw Chin-Chan as a kid and wanted to play it so badly. There are fan servers for it now that are of course free to play for copyright reasons. I played Toontown Rewritten for a while. You get a lot of content, but at some point you'll be missing so much quality of life. In Final Fantasy XIV, I'm guessing. Yeah, other free-to-play games, I think gacha games specifically, are really bad about this. They will basically make the free-to-play experience as poor as possible just to get you to pay money for gambling. Yeah, another free Toontown fan server you could play on now is Corporate Clash, but that's less true to the original Toontown. Might pick this up, please. Am I just lagging too much? Yeah, I don't seem to be able to interact with those at all. Despite not being... Oh, there we are. Was that just a visual bug? Probably. I'm just not gonna say anything. Yeah, that visual bug was throwing me off way too much. Now I guess I'll head to Trayton Avenue. Man, how much gold do I have at this point? I think I want to go ahead and buy a pet. Really don't think I'm getting a decent one from quests, unlike I used to be able to on New Wizards. Which is annoying, but I was gonna have to deal with it. Sure, let's go with purple and green. Because why not? Random name. Wait, do I have to wait for that to hatch now? No, I don't. Okay. Mr. Bosco. Pets will get experience points as, like, finish quests. Plus, they can get experience points from... Now that I think about it. From, feeding them items from your bag. There's also the pet pavilion, where I can use energy, which is a very limited resource, to do pet games. I'll come just fair and say my VTuber avatar is adorable and cute. Thank you. And welcome in. What do pets do for you? The main thing is they can give stats depending on what talents they get. However, as babies, they do not have any talents. They can also give spell cards, which can be very useful. Also, it does look like ads are starting in a couple of minutes as a warning. So, this is a pet game where you just need to match the directions given. Pretty simple. And you do get experience points from this as well. Most people don't even bother with actually doing the pet game because you can get a lot more experience from feeding snacks. However, if you don't want to... or you can't really afford to rely on snacks, then you kind of need the experience from actually playing the pet games. How'd I feel about a truly competitive league? For Wizard101? I can't say ever got really into PvP for this game. And I think the fact that you have to pay just to be able to participate in it, outside of casual, just makes me not very inclined to join it. When is the challenge run done? Is it just until the main story is complete? I'm not actually sure when I'm going to be ending it. I at least want to be able to get through Arc 2, but that might be difficult. Ends are starting here though, so I'm going to take my break and be back in a few minutes. Alright, ads are over. I am back. So I probably should be focusing on training strength since the, I guess, important pet talents mainly benefit from strengths. Welcome back, thank you. And the reason and the reason I'm doing the dance game instead of other pet games is Compared to the others, it's very fast and easy. That being said, sometimes I'm not paying that close attention. Or I try to start too early, which can cause issues, which I think is what happened there. Honestly, I want to avoid doing a lot of burning pet games, since it can be pretty tedious. But I do at least want to get my pet up to adult. And if it doesn't get the talents I need, then I'll probably just get a new pet. The reason I picked a dragon as the pet I bought was because it does get the balance. I think it's balance. It's one of the balance talents. Might be balance. Hang on, let me just check. Because there's balance giver, balance dealer, and balance boon, I think. Dragon pet does give balance giver, which is actually a decent talent that gives % balance damage. Oh, welcome Midwestern dude. Thank you for the watch streak. Disowned, yeah, kind of. A lot of the time, pets will just not manifest the talents that you need. And at which point you basically just drop the pet for a different one. Pet hatching in this game is much more convoluted than it really should be, to be honest. At least for a children's game. That being said, I don't think a lot of children actually play this game anymore. Also, the energy cost of pet training will go up as the pet levels up, I guess. But pet levels are basically ages, where they start off as babies, then teen, then adult. Then ancient, epic, mega, and then there's ultra as well, which doesn't actually manifest them a new talent, it just upgrades their jewel slot. Since they did add a jewel slot system to this game. Welcome, Speed Freak. I did decide to do a Wizard101 challenge. Finally. And I'm just hoping it won't be too grindy. Because that is a big problem that I had with PokeMMO. guess that's what I get for trying to play an MMO. I have seen other challenge runs for this game. But from what I saw, they were very reliant on treasure cards, which I think well, for one thing, it means you're needing to spend a lot of gold on treasure cards. And for another, it kind of negates the importance of spending your training points wisely and constructing a proper build and deck. That's just my personal take on that. But that's why I just banned sideboard from my rules. Shouldn't be too much longer before I get a second training point. I don't actually remember exactly where I get it from. In fact, it's possible that I already got a second training point from the quest and just didn't realize. Let me check that actually. I do actually have 2 training points. I think I got the second one from that Ravenwood quest where I just had to talk to some NPCs. Also, the thing about energy in this game, it's necessary for things like playing pet games and fishing and gardening. Gardening being a big way of getting pet snacks. And it only refills either when you level up or you get 1 energy every 10 minutes, which is very slow. There are also people who spend money on energy elixirs because they just want to train their pets as quickly as possible without actually caring about spending money. Which just is not something I'd want to do. As you've probably noticed, I am not actually subscribed to this game. I just unlock areas with crowns because I generally avoid subscription services in general. You need time gating with stamina. And it's a very annoying game mechanic that put me off of a lot of mobile games. avoiding subscriptions is valid. I generally just prefer buying things over renting them. I did like Guild Wars 2 for the fact that it wasn't subscription-based. I don't think I know anything about Guild Wars 2. But yeah, that's definitely a reason to choose one game over another. And I'm back to loading. There we are. There was one mobile game that I played quite a bit when I was younger that also relied on a time-based stamina system like that. But it was very frustrating to me. I'd rather avoid mentioning which game it is. It is, though. It's also not really around anymore, so it doesn't matter. Okay, so loading is relatively fast in this game. I think it generally is. Except when the servers are being slow. Which, as I've said, they seem to be slow today. I'm really not used to doing this on this keyboard. I think the keyboard that I actually liked using for this pet game is not the one on the laptop I'd been using before getting this PC, but the laptop I used before that one. I could do this pet game very quickly on that without needing to worry about double presses. Okay, but custom keyboard, I do not. This keyboard came with this PC, and honestly, I'm not a big fan of it. Honestly, I think my biggest issue with it is the fact that it has a key that automatically opens Copilot, which I have absolutely no use for. Really particular. My keyboard's on the laptop as well. Oops. I was paying attention to chat. You can't change this out. Yeah, that's very understandable. The laptop I'd been using had a lot of issues with double pressing. Which you may have noticed in my typing, if you're familiar with my typing over Discord. Which some of you may or may not be. That's not really an issue with this keyboard though, which I do appreciate. Hit a mouse that would double click, and that was the most annoying thing in very specific games. That also sounds very annoying. The thing about the double pressing is more often than not, it would happen when I pressed one key and then a different key, and then it would re-press the key that I first pressed. Not sure I really explained that the best. I am not paying as much attention as I really could be, but that's what happens when I'm also trying to talk to chat. Still something I need to work on, but multitasking is also just scientifically proven to be a myth. It's genuinely impossible to give your full attention to multiple things at once. All you can do is has muscle memory to be able to autopilot one thing while pay attention to something else. And people multitask, it's really a matter of autopiloting. So the better you get at autopiloting, the more you can multitask in quotes. Hello, Boris. Since I do have 2 training points, I'm just gonna go ahead and get Ghoul, which honestly isn't a great spell, but it will help a bit with healing. The thing about a lot of death spells is they end up healing you for half of the amount of damage that they deal. Not really a point in having that in my deck anymore. Sometimes you gotta assign some work to muscle memory while you focus. Yeah, exactly. Very important for things like driving or playing some more complicated games like MOBAs or RTS games. Anyway, I am out of energy now. Which means it's finally time to actually start on Trading Avenue. That being said, I am very close to leveling up, which means my energy is going to refill. Another thing about the school system in this game is Enemies will tend to resist spells of their own school, but be weak to spells of the opposite school. So fire enemies will be weak to ice and resist fire. For example. But with balance enemies, there isn't an opposite school. So they will generally have a less significant weakness. Not for one specific school, but for spirit schools. I just got a pet snack. So less of a rock, paper, scissors, yeah. Plus, enemies with weaknesses, which is most of them, will tend to have a shield spell to cover for that weakness. It's not like you can freely take advantage of it either. A Scooby snack? I got cheese broccoli. Which I'm going to be hesitant to feed to any pets until it actually gets a useful talent. I guess I'm not really going to be hurting for snacks because I don't anticipate doing a lot of pet training. Without access to the hatchmaking kiosk, it's going to be hard to actually train up any good pets. You don't eat unless you're useful. Not exactly. They're just not allowed to eat snacks. I will, however, feed them things I don't need. Which probably aren't going to taste as good as snacks. But basically feeding them garbage. Also kind of worried about this keyboard potentially being very clacky. That isn't much better, but it is better. Oddly enough, the best way to farm for titanium in this game, which is a crafting ingredient, is by buying excessive numbers of soft heads and just feeding them all to your pet. Because by feeding your pet soft hoods, they have a chance to give you titanium. Soft hoods. Like it. Something you put on your head. Something you can buy on Unicron Way, actually. You're just feeding them fabric. Basically, yeah. But the fact that you can get things like titanium from them makes you wonder what exactly they're putting in the hoods. And what exactly you're feeding to your pet. I have fed thousands to my pets. Didn't even think about the fact that it comes out as titanium. Yeah. And the thing about titanium is it's an important crafting ingredient for a certain pet jewel. So you're basically feeding all this fabric to your pet so that you can give it a jewel that increases its max strength. The magic world is wild. Yes, yes it is. I'll also say there is definitely a reason that I play this game with the voice acting off. Because this game does have voice acting. And honestly, I'm not sure how people can play it with the voice acting on. How bad is it? In terms of how bad it can get at worst, some of the characters' accents can be heavily exaggerated to the point of coming off as racist. I will not be turning the voice acting on. I completely lost track of what I was doing in the middle of that, but somehow remembered. Well, it is a really old game. It's from like 2008, 2009-ish. I think 2008. Just picked some random people off the street to voice act. Maybe. Yeah, once I leave Wizard City, which is this first world I have access to, I'll start getting into worlds like Crocotopia, which is based on Egypt, Marleybone, which is based on England, there's Grizzleheim, which is based on Scandinavia. What stats did I want my pet to get again? Mainly strength, because that's what damage dealing and resistance giving talents scale on. By doing the dance game, I'm mostly going to be getting agility. That's just unavoidable unless I go play much more slow at games. And the talents that... the actually decent talent that I can get on Dragon without breeding is Balance Giver, which is a damage-giving talent. I will be getting better pets with better... I think better talents in general, as well as actually giving good spell cards. I can get those from school-specific quests, but that's not until much later on in the game. Like, not until level 48 at least. Which, for reference, my level cap for Arc 1 is going to be 50. That is a not good talent. And as far as dragons go, it's better than a lot of other talents it could get. But yeah, I think what I really want is mainly Balance Giver, maybe Balance It for accuracy. It also gives Mana Gift or Unbalancer for extra mana or balance resistance. And the rest are all what are called selfish talents, which just increase the maximum stats you can get. Oh, thank you, Miss Chubby, for the health check. Gonna have to do that right after this pet game. Yeah, the selfish talent I just got gives maximum power, which is different from other stats in that any talent can skill on it. But the downside is you can't actually get power without pet snacks. Health has been checked. I actually could be wrong about that. I think you might be able to get power from just feeding equipment to your pet. But I think you need to get pretty lucky for a significant amount from that. Some snacks just give power, but also eating liked or loved snacks will give power. And which snacks are liked or loved depends on the specific species of pet. You may have noticed that I am running out of energy faster now. Since Mr. Bosco is a teen. Each pet game costs 4 energy instead of 2. So, less time spent on this, but also that also means it's harder to get pet experience on pets as they level up. So one more after this one and I can get back to questing. The slow pace of this game honestly might not make it the most well suited to streaming, but I guess we'll see how I'm feeling about it later. Makes excellent background music, does it? Better than nothing, at least. One thing about this game's music that I do really appreciate is one of the composers has an affinity for unusual time signatures, most notably 7/4, which is one of my favorites. You can say the same about really any MMO. About the pacing. Yeah, that is very fair. That being said, certain MMOs such as Final Fantasy XIV seem to be very popular among streamers in spite of that. One thing about the ghoul spell, though, is it has a set amount of damage it can do, so there's no actual damage variance. Expansion is coming out, so it's been surging in popularity. And I guess that would make it new and exciting. Yeah, fighting these haunted minions is pretty straightforward since I can just elemental field into ghoul. Assuming I actually draw the right cards for them. Also, I don't think rank 1s in general in this game actually have weaknesses and resistances. But they will gain stronger resistances as well as stronger weaknesses as I progress through the game. which will also make balance enemies as a balance wizard potentially harder to deal with. Or at least more annoying to deal with. It can be kind of awkward sometimes when interactables are close together like that. Trying to get close enough to the one you actually want to interact with. But I think I can just click on the right one. I probably... Oh, not sure there's much point in doing that yet. But you get that when I actually go up to that area. They've also been updating the appearances and quest lines of areas earlier in the game, like this one. So it looks significantly different than it used to, and these electric eels weren't even in the game before. I collected Susie's wand. Also, for whatever reason, it used to be the brother who is missing, and the sister asking you to help look for him, but they ended up switching that around. I don't know why they did that. I just need to beat one more of these. You may have noticed that I don't actually have those spell cards in my deck anymore that I got from my wand. You can just toggle those on and off in your deck page. Card by card. And as you might imagine, when it comes to card games, it's generally a good idea to not have too many cards in your deck. Hence why I toggled them off. Once you hit level 5, they basically become obsolete. Silver chests are kind of a waste of time, at least at this point in the game. I can't even have my quest area point to those. Oh well. onto the rotting fodders, I can actually take up the other quest. The barrel should be on the street, I think. Unless I am misremembering. Never mind, apparently they're all the way down there. Server is definitely being slow today. Take a while before it even let me interact with the chest there. At least they added teleporters. Just lets you get around a lot more quickly. One thing I noticed about... I forget which boss it was on the street, but they gave them a minion called rotted fodder rather than rotting fodder. Which is very similar. But it doesn't count towards quests that need rotting fodders, unfortunately. Sergeant Skull Splitter. Wait, won't I get another quest for this guy later? I can probably just wait until later to fight him. Actually, I think I have the quest for it. I just am not at that point. Oops, in the quest line. Yeah, I'm just gonna not fight that because I don't need to. Welcome, Villian. The downside to fleeing from a fight is you do need to refill your mana after that. Which can be tedious at times. But not a huge deal. Honestly, it probably would have been faster to just fight the eel. But oh well. Apparently, the guy I need to talk to is down there. Taking the teleporter might not have been the right decision there. This NPC is also not where he used to be, so that much is also throwing me off. This music is also very different from what I'm used to. These guys also just get one-shot by ghouls and scorpions. Now that I think about it, have I even fizzled a spell once so far? Fizzling is basically this game's version of missing. There's a snack that gives power. Also, where does this even go? Over here. I completely lost my train of thought. That seems to be happening a lot. It looks like I leveled up again. Which means I have more energy to spend. Can't get the fishing quest yet. And I do get my first spell quest now. Which I think I'm going to focus on. But for now I should just spend my energy again. Now it's like another ad break starting in a few minutes. You mentioned that you watched the Spider-Man movie. I think you mentioned that you were going to watch it. I remember you saying you did watch it. I have not watched it myself. But someone did send me a link to it on Twitter because apparently someone uploaded the whole thing to Twitter. But I guess I shouldn't be surprised. I watched it 2 days ago. You enjoyed it, but you don't want to spoil. Could you enjoyed the movie? Honestly, I'm not sure that I'm actually going to watch it myself. As I've said before, I'm not really much of a movie person. Right near the front row. Open his phone 5 times throughout the movie. Like, pulled it out in front of him and turned it on. To the point where you'd actually see the screen. It seems kind of annoying. I'm gonna have to take my ad break right after this, though. In the dark mode, but you still notice scrolling on some app. Some people just can't pay attention to movies anymore, I guess, but yeah, ads are starting here, so I'm taking my break. Be back in a few minutes. Alright, ads are over. I am back. Enough energy to do this 10 more times. Welcome back, thank you. And the hiccups are kind of trying to come out violently now. Konnichiwa? I don't think I've heard that one before. Wabe? What is Wabe? Or Wabi? Whack Belcom? I don't know what I just said. Your brain is a wee bit mushed from working, I see. That definitely happens sometimes. My brain kind of feels like mush just from trying to talk. But that happens. Not actually sure how much sleep I ended up getting last night. Probably around 8 to 9 hours. Which is a good amount. To be honest, Sam, the talking to people thing. But for you, it's mostly because you're not too familiar with speaking English. I see. You know, speaking a language that you didn't grow up learning. I grew up speaking, I should say. Is very difficult. I am very impressed by people who have learned new languages. Particularly later in life. And this is taking forever to load again. On the other hand, OBS is telling me it hasn't dropped a single frame in the entire stream. So it's definitely not on my end. OBS the reliable narrator. And OBS makes it pretty clear to me when I'm having connection issues. I am very familiar with having stream cut in and out, as I'm sure you're aware. I'm also very hungry, I have to admit. Big yawn, I have been doing that. Nonsense, every Juniper stream goes flawlessly with no interruptions. True. I haven't had dinner yet? I have not. I also didn't really eat a lunch. Which, in terms of times of day, I normally would have done before I started stream. My usual dinner time is in about 3 hours. Yeah, I will be eating dinner after stream. Late dinner. I do eat late dinners. I'm just on a generally late schedule. Next break, have a light snack or something so I'm not too distracted. I might just have a few cashews or something. But because of my work, that's definitely part of it. My meals are very much... Oops. Very much eaten around my work schedule. But I'm also generally a night owl, and I guess I should say night bat. And even growing up, my family tended to have dinner late. You tend to really just eat 2 meals a day. Better than 1 meal a day at least. And honestly, I don't even eat much of a breakfast usually. It's usually my dinner that's where most of my calories come from. I mean, the sun is still brighter around that time. During summer, that is very true. During winter, not so much. I remember having family visit over summer. This was when I was a kid. My cousin told me that Alaska's weird when it was still bright out in the middle of the night. You missed the night sky, understandable. Am I dancing with the Dargan? Kinda. Having my pet Dargan dance. I'm out of energy now, though. Alaska sunlight is weird. And that's just how it is. It's far from the equator. Especially in the Arctic and Antarctic. But even just approaching them. The difference is very much felt. So I should be going inside. If that apprentice with a dragon pet doesn't have nice tower stats, I need a dragon on a treadmill. I am an apprentice, actually. Which I think is levels, like, 5 through 9. Once I hit level 10, I won't be an apprentice anymore. Or crystal hearts. I don't think those exist in this game. Yeah, welcome in high-end PB. Also, I don't have tower yet, but I will get it eventually. Just because it's a very solid shield spell. You're getting tired. Thanks for streaming. Thank you for watching. Hope you get some good rest. I'll be honest, I don't think I ever farmed for crystal hearts in Dungeon Defenders. But that's probably not surprising with how I play the game. That's actually the NPC that teaches Terror Shield. Since it's a nice spell. I'm gonna go to the pond. It's judgment. I am not a high enough level to learn that spell yet. And thank you, Balls, for the health check. Give me 1 second. Health has been checked. It's got an accuracy boosting spell, but I don't think I'm really gonna have a use for that. Canonian, thanks for the bless. Get leveling balls, they need you geared up for Illu. Okay, now you've just lost me. And I need to go fight the Kraken. I can do that. When I was a kid, a lot of people would just be fighting the Kraken again and again because it's one of the most exciting things you can do playing the game as a free-to-play player. In reality, it's not actually that exciting. Kind of an easy boss. Okay. Can I actually go the right way? Make you some takoyaki? I don't think I'm going to be able to do that with this Kraken. Doesn't even have tentacles. Welcome, cute dagger. The Krakens in this game really don't look very Kraken-y. Yes, this is the Kraken. I played Dungeon Defenders 1 before. Have I played Dungeon Defenders 1 before? What's the best way to answer that question? Yes, a yes. I have done challenges for that game. now you think you've seen one of my streams playing Dungeon Defenders 1. Yeah, that's very likely the case. I have done Dungeon Defenders challenges on my channel quite a bit. Basically trying to beat the game on insane hardcore. Starting completely from scratch. Which I have done with a number of classes by now. Yeah, that was the Kraken fight. Not very exciting. That was pretty easy. Yeah. Honestly, I'm not expecting to actually have much of a challenge in this game until probably the end of main story Wizard City. Lord Nightshade might be a challenge, but I guess I'm not sure. And at that point, I'm basically out of the tutorial. Because the vast majority of fights from that point forward, including street fights, are against multiple enemies and not just one. One-on-one battles like this are basically reserved for the beginning of the game and for certain bosses. So they have also just made this game, at least Arc 1, easier than it used to be. Because a boss like Scrub, for example, used to be very difficult, but now actually getting to Grub is harder than fighting him. Because they removed all his minions. No offense intended, but why does my voice sound so robot-y? Audio filters. Honestly, I'm not really comfortable streaming with out filters. And sorry if it doesn't sound very nice. It's mainly for privacy reasons. At this point, I guess I just go ahead and fight these. I feel like I am starting to run low on mana, but fights don't really drag on long enough at this point in the game for mana to be much of a concern. We haven't really been paying much attention to that at all so far. I am very surprised I haven't been fizzling yet. Because all my accuracy is just the base 85%, plus the 5% from my wand. With a 10% fizzle rate, I have been casting tens of spells so far. I really should have fizzled a few times by now. It is possible that they changed these early areas to not let you fizzle. But honestly, I'd be surprised. Especially since they already give you a starting wand that boosts accuracy. Honestly, I'm not sure how long I'm going to have the energy to stream for today. But I guess we will see. Unfortunately, got the mineral. Not a big deal, it just means this is taking a little while. You miss me already? I haven't even gone anywhere yet. I didn't really just kind of want to eat food right now, if I'm being completely honest. I haven't exactly been seeing many players on this realm, but that's not surprising considering I went lower on the realm list. What's for dinner today? I'm probably just going to eat leftover chili that I have in the fridge. Put some potato puffs in the oven. Muvel, eat now. Should get another couple of spells, also means my energy is refilled. The Harvest Lord. Gonna have to fight him in a bit. Probably should go learn some spells right away, though. In my nightmares, does the chili or curry ever eat me instead? I can't say that I've had dreams about food eating people. I know Sokka has, but that's also a fictional character. Silent Hill with curry head chasing me? Would that be a person with a bowl of curry for head? Avatar isn't real? Sorry you had to find out this way, Neon. Avatar The Last Airbender is not a non-fiction story. Though honestly, the characters and world building are very well done and feel very real. Which I very much appreciate. I'm also not really sure how to interpret that question, who is Curry? It wasn't Curry also a last name? There's probably at least someone named Curry. Why is Curry? I'm shocked you would ask that. Haven't I talked to you before about being on thin ice? I actually do not remember the context for that at all. When is Curry? Sadly, I do not know. I made curry last weekend, but I ate it all. Something about curry? Was it? Oh, adding mayo to... Yeah, that was it. Probably not something I wanted to remember. It probably came up because of Max from Beyblade putting mayo on curry. Because Max did in fact put mayo on curry. And I was horrified. Wish you could try my curry. It would be nice if I could... That was quite the noise. It would be nice if I could share it with more people, but that's not the most practical. Also, I was not expecting that noise to come from one of the pets in the pet pavilion. Which is definitely where it came from. You serious? Yes, nicely. He'll receive 1 curry in a sealed envelope in 5 to 7 business days. If only it were that easy. Just need to get a jet to my place. That'd also mean you'd need to know where my place is. And Alaska isn't exactly small. It is kind of weird just how stretched out Alaska's time zone is. Like, if you look at a time zone map, Alaska is just warping several time zones around it. There are at least 4 houses that in Alaska. Sarah Palin owns at least 3 of them. Don't remind me of Sarah Palin. I'm Sarah Palin? Oh gosh. I am definitely not Sarah Palin. I can assure you of that. You've never seen Juniper and Sarah Palin live at the same time? You make a compelling case. That's like... the suggestion that I'm actually Chris Pratt. But he's not even Alaskan. I can assure you if I were that famous though, I would probably be able to afford being a full-time streamer. Or I guess VTuber in general. It's not just streaming, it's also video editing and whatnot. I also generally don't really want to be associated with politicians at all. Alright, just 3 more of these. You're just joking around. Yeah, I figured that wasn't a serious accusation of me being Sarah Palin. Because honestly, if someone were actually trying to accuse me of being a certain individual, I would just ban them. Since that is actually trying to dox me. I'm not saying I'm just banning you right now. YouTube commenter. Saying if you were serious about the Sarah Palin accusation. Yes, one more. And it's back to Wizard duels. Actually, probably should edit my deck since I got some new spells. Weakness is probably going to be nicer to have than Elemental Shield. Though Spirit Shield is kind of useless. I might just go ahead and remove the Scarabs from my deck, actually. I can remove those, add the weaknesses. And another tool. Yes, that's fine. Should leave me with plenty of damage. Did you miss anything? Are we disowning the pet yet? I missed... nothing important, I don't think. You just had some Mexican tacos. Happy... oh, those were good. Yeah, we were kind of talking about curry and Alaska and famous people, basically. Please do not turn Mexicans into tacos. Yeah, that would be pretty weird. Am I going to Calvinist Tower? I guess so. Alpers took me straight there. And some flax. You have to specify since you don't want people thinking you eat hard shell ground beef tacos. Yeah, that's understandable. Oh, good, an elemental shield. And I can take out the rotting fodder in one hit. Injury taco bell from time to time. It is very cheap, and I think generally good for its price, though last time I had it, I think I was kind of grossed out by it. When you first tried curry, you really didn't like it, but all the ones you've tried had peanut butter, coconut milk, and lemongrass. Not sure what kind of curry uses lemongrass. When you were in Japan, Rathy, you did try curry that you actually liked. Honestly, I don't think I've had much, if any, Japanese curry. Peanut butter is such an overwhelming flavor. It can be. But my favorite curry is Masaman curry, which is peanutty. There are lots of different kinds of curry. Many different cultures have made it in many different ways. I make the curry myself. I don't make the curry paste from scratch, but I do cook it with the paste. Welcome, Nef Nef. Cool, bad facts. Cool. Bad fact number 16. Some bats may like to be petted. But if you attempt to pet a bat, they likely won't be happy about it. Thank you, Speech, for the Tier 1 subscription. Yeah, I would not recommend attempting to pet random bats. I will say, for some reason, it seems like a lot of the notifications that pop up in Twitch chat have become more distracting. I think that might be because of the goals. Like cats, you just put your hand out and let them pat themselves. Bats are generally not domesticated and will likely feel threatened and try to bite you and potentially cause an infection or transfer disease. However, some bats are actually familiar with people and will be more receptive to being petted. This outfit really is mismatched. I remember being on call with your ex one time and bats just began flying around you and squeaking. First and only time that's ever happened. That is kind of surprising. You must have startled them for whatever reason. Yeah, I don't think they generally spend much time around humans. You never seen a bat in your life? I have seen bats, just not really around here. Other than a certain batty VTuber. Does seeing them online count? I have seen many bats online. There's some cute bat videos out there. I really should be using my marks more. Just to help save time. This Chempos Nexus thing didn't used to be in the game. Some of the changes that were made really just feel like they were made for the sake of being changed rather than not for the sake of being better. So they haven't done what some other MMOs I've seen have done. Most notably Ion. That game basically cut down their early game until it basically became non-existent. And it kind of feels bad when games do that. Speed's Batman? That'd be something. I don't know, did you develop a fear of bats after that incident? Oh, welcome... Lyle... However that's supposed to be pronounced. Probably should go ahead and do this quest. Well, I can probably wait. Good and start on the Firecat Alley. Second way I said it is right. I can call you Rain Garden. Alright. I really need to stretch more. But there is another break coming soon. What level am I right now? I believe I am level 8, halfway to level 9. I'd say at level 10 I'm gonna have to lock my level. Yeah, there's the notification for that starting soon. How's the challenge going? Well, I haven't really gotten to the challenging part yet. So it's not really much of a challenge so far. But ideally that changes before too long. Am I planning on the generic wand progression? I'm probably going to use this wand until... I want to say Wisteria. Because then I can get a second pip on my wand. The later on I'm potentially going to get a good one from fishing that I can use until Sky Iron Hosta. But I'm probably not going to get Sky Iron Hosta until end of Arc 1. You're doing a challenge yourself? What kind of rules are you using? Square into the end after that? I'm not exactly sure how long I'm gonna be able to go with this challenge. I'm definitely going to need Sky Iron going into Arc 2. But I would like to at least be able to finish Arc 2 with these rolls. I'm just not sure how realistic that is. But anyway, ads are starting. I'll go ahead and take my break, and I will do a health check as well. Thank you. Alright, answer over. I am back. I did end up eating a few cashews just to get something in my stomach. Welcome back, thank you. I am starting to think that I probably want to finish this looking sharp quest. Just to make sure that I actually have that done by the time I hit level 10. Because I'd like to have my level 10 gear set. Ate some cash. I did eat some cashews. You can upgrade your first spell as soon as you get into your dorm. Can you? Where do you get the spellments for that? Doesn't it take 50? And actually getting spellments is pretty slow in my experience. I really hate the new character models for these elves. They just look so cursed now. And there's no way to turn it off. There's a classic mode option, but that doesn't actually change the enemies' models. Elements can be farmed. You can put them into your shared bank. You just transfer them from a different wizard then. I do think just being able to transfer stuff from other wizards kind of changes the nature of it challenge by quite a bit. Also, I probably should be taking up all the side quests here before I actually fight things. I generally try to do challenge runs that are self-contained. This challenge requires it unless you're starting as soon as you get your first upgrade in Krogatopia. Yeah, that makes sense. Sometimes you do need to make exceptions just to make challenges work to begin with. But that just depends on what kind of challenge you want to do, I guess. I'm really not sure why they added this quest to the game. Might just be an excuse to add fire kitties, which honestly is understandable. I also think the quest error was bugged on this. But that's not a huge deal. It also has some very strange dialogue, I have to say. No, I will not be reading it out. Please don't make me go through that. You're curious now, what dialogue am I talking about? I can tell what you read it when I get to it. It's just dialogue between a couple of NPCs at the end of this side quest line. That thing just spawned in front of me. You can't read, you need a translator. I forget exactly what I'm supposed to be doing here. Yeah, I need to find the color, right? Does this actually point me to the color? Yes, it does. But basically, there's this NPC that makes some very odd exclamations. Welcome, Bear. Been a long time since you've seen someone playing Wizard101. It's definitely not as popular as it used to be. That being said, I do think Wizard101 challenge running specifically has seen a bit of an uptake the past couple years, which is good to see. It used to be popular. Oh, it was very popular. Yeah, she also has some interesting exclamations. It was very popular when it was still new. Around late 2000s, early 2010s. That being said, I don't actually know how many people made it past the free section and bothered to get into the actual game, for lack of a better way to put it. Even by the mid-2010s, I think. By that point, it just had a small dedicated player base. Most MMOs, the real game starts once you get to endgame. I mean, I don't really look at games that way personally. But you understand it. You picked it up a lot more. So with console, really. I have a friend who started playing the console version hesitant. Apparently it has its own dedicated server, and you can't actually play with people on PC, which seems very weird to me. Also, I may have skipped through some of the dialogue I was talking about. But yeah, something that I have complained about multiple times is the way a lot of people play MMOs is basically to speed and skip through as much of the game as possible. Which, I mean, you can play the game the way you want, but trying to play MMOs with friends has kind of killed them for me because of it. I think I skipped through most of the noteworthy dialogue before that battle. Most notable example of that, of the game kind of being ruined by trying to play it with friends, was Path of Exile. Of course, that game is kind of notorious for people not actually liking playing through the game. Isn't it because the PC version was the same from back when they first started and not compatible with console? It's a technical issue. That's the reason you can't actually do crossplay. You never quite get into Path of Exile. I think it's definitely not for everyone. But in my case specifically, it's just not really designed to be played the way I like to play games, for lack of a better way to put it. So many games with longevity have dedicated player bases that absolutely hate the game. That definitely seems to be the case. Though I am. Even a game like League of Legends, which is notorious for being hated by its player base, I genuinely think it's a fun game. I just hate the community, to be honest. The community just ruins the game. It's not a problem with the game itself. Some people prefer the console, even though it's behind in updates. Because the first arc is very affordable for permanent purchase. Compared to buying it with crowns on PC. I guess so, it makes sense. I personally try to stay away from the online crowd and fandoms for games. Yeah, I also avoid fandoms. Fandoms kinda scare me. And I also tend to avoid playing with random people online. But I think the case for it, a game like Toontown, another MMO, I did meet some good friends playing that game. So that's something that that's a game that kind of forces you to make connections to actually play it. I'm gonna head to Cyclops Lane. Just do quests there until I get the belt. And then I'll not come back to it until after Firecat Alley. I think that's how I want to do this. Console sell first Ike. If you're in access is 20 to 25. Or the PC would be like 60 to 80. Yeah, when there's a crown sale, you can get all of the first arc, including basically all of the important side content, as well as parts of Celestia and Winter Tusk for $60, which I don't think is bad, but is also not cheap either, that's for sure. So I can probably get more. Oh, apparently I unlocked the fishing quest. Yes, I can do that as soon as I level up. Then I can use my energy on fishing instead of pet training. Which is going to be good for getting golden items. Even if it does take an initial gold investment. Also, I probably should feed a bunch of my excess equipment to my pet. I haven't really done any cleaning out of my bag. It's also nowhere near full, so I haven't really needed to. That's why people prefer console. That's understandable. But I'd imagine those are new players rather than people who have already invested in the PC version. Because I've bought many areas in this game. So it would be kind of silly of me to switch to console. But I also know a lot of PC players have paid for subscriptions rather than buying areas with crowns. But then it seems silly that people would pay for a subscription only to turn around and pay for areas on a different version. But what do I know? Players made the switch because they only got membership. It's still a lot of wasted money on membership, though. But I never bought membership because I don't really want to have to continuously pay for a game to keep playing it. I just want to pay for the game and then be able to always play it. I need got that Smith. Time for some fishing, I guess. I do not need all this tutorial. Honestly, I'm probably going to end stream before the 4-hour mark. I don't think I can handle going much longer than that tonight. The fish are ignoring my lure. There we are. That's why you wish there was a world buy bundle. That definitely be more convenient. Than needing to pick and choose which areas you pay for. Also, I am not at all on the right screen. Ice Cuda. Hey, I've heard some players... Well, that was lucky. rely on the free subscription periods rather than actually paying for subscriptions. Alright. On to Old Town, I think. Also, my tabs, or windows, I guess, got very mixed up there. I do have an hour timer on this elixir now, though. Hopefully I can get this quest done in that time. It does pause if I log out, I'm pretty sure, though. Not what I was looking for, but that works, I guess. There's a reason that people are upset with Pokemon Home getting shut down. Or not Pokemon Home, Pokemon Bank. Because with that getting shut down, it's basically going to be impossible to transfer from and between older games. And the idea of things being temporary and not being able to come back to them or just enjoy them at your own pace to begin with is kinda sucky. Kind of a useless amulet, but it'd be worth something when I sell it. I guess feed it to my pet. I do think I'm going to want to get a 3DS at some point so that I can trade between it and my 2DS. Since I'm not going to be able to just transfer anymore, and I'm already not able to trade with people online. Then again, I guess that kind of encourages you to switch to emulation, because then you can use PKX or something to actually get trade evolutions. When you normally wouldn't be able to trade. You really want the Mark of Nieliardi spell? I'm not actually sure what that spell is. But then again, I haven't really been keeping up with a lot of the new stuff they've been adding to this game. Like all the PvP focus changes are a bit much. I'm also surprised I've been getting all these other fish, but not what I'm trying to catch. Barkingham Palace spell you can get with Spellman's Icy. I have to say, Chief Whip is a very annoying boss. But I am going to have to grind for one of his drops after finishing Arc 1 before going into Arc 2. Because he drops a very good ring for level 40. Although I'm not sure I've actually compared it to the new Malister drops. Not sure whether the Malister ring is gonna be better. This fish is in a very awkward spot. Come on. A base spell is a 1-pip myth spell that sets a 105 myth dot the last 3 turns, but if you enter its bottom path, it becomes 2-pip and increases the dot damage. Gambit trap to summon a myth minion. Interesting. What school do you think you're doing for this challenge, by the way? I was about to grab that, but oh well. Are you going with myth? I know it's a generally solid all-around school, but minions also tend to fall off. They're very good for like 20 levels though. That fish didn't like me, I guess. Being a dot-focused fire/myth combo with Fire's main Icy. Out of curiosity, how do you feel about the Snow Angel changes? Snow Angel used to be my favorite spell in the game, actually. But the fact that they removed the taunt on it just kind of makes it makes Ice's role in team play feel less significant. Also, I ran out of fish here. Font is kind of useless right now, though. That's fair. It seems like it's a school that wants to tank, and removing the taunt makes it harder for them to actually tank. You miss lunch. Enjoy your lunch. I'm actually thinking about calling it here today. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and raid out here. Sorry if ending stream was kind of abrupt. I have things I need to do, and also I need to eat dinner. I need to rework taunt and pacify spells first. I think reworking how aggro works would definitely help give Ice a more distinct role in team play, at least. But honestly, not really sure what to say about the challenge so far. I haven't really made much progress. I'm still kind of in what's basically the tutorial. But hopefully I can get to more interesting parts of the game before too long. Next stream should be next Saturday, though I am going to need to start a little later, closer to 7 to 8. Unfortunately. Probably gonna do more Fossil Fighters that day. But as always, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.